Now, I sympathize for you. I know this is some mess. I'm just, is there, however this goes, or however this ends up, is there any legal actions that Mr. Schmidt can take against Joe Orlandini? I mean, that's what I was asking about. Is there any written contract that you guys have between who was paying what and who wasn't? I mean, I'm just trying to understand that.
Another problem. 3 days.
Come on up. Yeah. Another
problem with 80 Avenue E. 3 days after I bought it, Joe had signed a second mortgage with a gentleman for $350,000 and not told me about it. I actually have about $1.5 million judgment against Joe Orlandini right now, and I've never seen one dime of it. So is there any recourse going back after Joe Orlandini?
Nah.
Absolutely not, because he just does not pay his bills. If he would have paid the $15,000 3 years ago, we wouldn't be standing here. But obviously he doesn't want to pay anybody anything. So,
and do we know, did whether it's 1560 or whether it's 80, did those properties, well, evidently not. We're saying that they didn't come into compliance before the storm took them away? Is that?
That's the information that, you know, I've never even seen the property, but that's the information
you
we
had
have from
you
town
made a comment
records.
that you had brought them into compliance,
Yeah, I
but
brought
our
them into
staff
compliance.
is saying that they weren't in compliance.
I filled up, personally, myself, Mark, Sean, and I filled up 5 20-yard dumpsters out of the back of that property.
Well,
So-
but he would have needed to get permits to do that, so the permit record is not there. The problem was
That's what I was
that
getting at. Is there a permit record to show that?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I needed a permit to order a dumpster and clean up somebody else's garbage.
It wasn't a garbage issue. It was doing work without a permit.
But he simply removed the unpermitted work. I don't know if you need a permit to remove the unpermitted work. Maybe you do.
Well-
I don't think so, but
You do need to notify the town
Okay.
that you have come into compliance
okay, there's been a
to stop
lot
it.
of bad moves, I would agree, but we're here before you in equity trying to mitigate this issue so we can move on and not keep the treadmill going. That's why I wrote the motion and the alternative, because if you were not inclined to forgive, give us a number so we can hopefully get this thing resolved, because we want to get it resolved right now. And my client will write you a check to get this matter resolved. But we would ask you to take into consideration that he's not the violator. It didn't sound like the violations themselves were major violations, although I don't sit and want to distinguish, but I know, Mr. Vice Mayor, you had seemed to question, you know, what degree were the violations. He took it upon himself to remove them. Unfortunately, yes, again, went into the black hole, and he didn't perhaps cross every T, dot every I type of thing. But this council sits in equity, and that's all we're seeking to do is give us a number. We'd like to get this thing resolved. We weren't the violator. Like any other person who comes before the council in this forum, simply let's get this thing resolved, put an end to the litigation. We don't want to have to incur fees on our end. I don't know what the town's agreement is with your attorneys, but I'm sure you're going to incur additional fees on your end, and a bad situation is just getting worse and worse and worse, obviously, as the days go by. So that's, we're simply, you know, we're essentially saying we're throwing ourselves on your mercy. Give us a number if you're not inclined to forgive, and you know, we're done.
What was